What's up, everyone? It's your boy, it's Johnny the 5A here. And today, we're going to be doing another basketball video, man. We are going to be talking about, does the NBA need to bring back more physicality? Now, I've been hearing arguments back and forth on this, especially from older players, saying that the NBA is too soft nowadays and that the players are not as physical and the defenses are not as tough as they used to be, and today's players got it easy, more or less. But is that necessarily a bad thing, or is it a good thing? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because there are pros and cons to both of those situations. Obviously, when defenses were tougher and the game was more physical, players got to play less time, which means less of progression from older players. Like certain players like LeBron probably wouldn't be playing till 38 years old if he played back in the 90s just because of all the physicality. So the question remains is, what is the perfect level of physicality for the game of basketball? Should basketball have as much physicality as the 90s, where players aren't going to be able to play as long, longevity-wise, and players are going to be more limited in their offensive options because defenses are tougher, which could make the game less entertaining? But at the same time, should the game be so unphysical to the point where they're calling fouls on the slightest contact and really messing up the flow and the pace of the game, bringing it to a halt at times, which can be really boring as a viewer to watch? So my question is what is the perfect in-between mixture between those two realms, Because you got the 90s, 80s physicality of basketball, being physical, tough defense, and you got the more offensive-oriented, less physical style of basketball we see today. They both have their pros, they both have their cons, but I think the NBA really needs to find a way to where they can split the two ideologies of old basketball, 90s, 80s, and today's new basketball being more offensive and being less physical. I think they can split those and create a decent level of physicality to where it's not going to be so much as it was in the 90s, where players might lose out on longevity. Like a person like LeBron, for instance, if he played in the 90s, he probably wouldn't have made it to 38 just because of all the physicality there is. And that's just the truth. The NBA was a lot more physical and tougher back then. So players wouldn't have the longevity they had today. You might not see a Curry balling out like you do today as old as he is. You might not see Jimmy Butler balling out today as old as he is. It just wasn't something you saw too often. So because of less of the physicality and, all that, it allows players to have less injuries and be able to be more longevity, have less wear and tear in their body at certain ages, especially when they hit those mid-30s, early 30s. So my thing is they need to find a way to where they can create a midline of enough physicality to where the game's entertaining and they're not stopping the pace of the game by calling fouls on every little inch of contact, even just for the slightest contact. But they're not too physical where they don't injure themselves. And honestly, I think that's a challenge to figure out for the NBA and the game of basketball. What level of physicality would be good for players' health, players' safety, and also for the entertainment of the fans and the entertainment of, just the game in general. You know what I'm saying? What is enough level of physicality? Where should that line be drawn, Should they get rid of the 3-second violations and allow centers to bang down low all day if they want to, like they used to? Should they allow you to stick an arm in, like back in the 90s when you were allowed to stick an arm in when someone was when you were defending someone? It wasn't a reach-in foul. Should they bring that back? Should they only call common fouls if it's a significant amount of contact instead of a little bit of contact? Should flagrants only be called if it's a very bad foul where someone could have got seriously hurt? What should the criteria be, And that was always my question. And honestly, I don't have an answer either. It's just something I thought about and something I really wanted to bring up in this video. How do they make a level of basketball? How do they combine both of these ideologies to make the game better, to make older fans fall back in love with the game. You know, fans that might have watched it back in the 90s, back in the 80s, to watch it again and fall in love with the game again. But at the same time, keep the new age style of basketball where it's more offense oriented, and the physicality isn't so much to where the players are losing longevity, but the game stays entertaining because of because of the more offensive style. So it's just like, how do you combine those two ideologies and make a perfect game? That's where the struggle is in the game of basketball right now. And I'm hoping one day it gets figured out so people old and young can both enjoy basketball. You know, the older fans can have the physicality back they loved in a certain degree, and the new age fans can have the offensive style of basketball, the offensive fast-paced style of basketball they love, without any of the slowing down and the plays coming to a halt because of slight contact. So those are the things that basketball really needs to address and figure out, and I think that would really make the game a better game. But tell me all what y'all think. This is just a little quick video of me. I hope you like the jersey. North Carolina, Michael Jordan. All right, take care, y'all. Peace.